good seeing you again. Well, we met at the AI4 conference. I'm so glad you're on the show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, the conference was a great experience. Lots of new things, lots of new directions that the field is going to. Was really
Yes,
exciting.
yes. So let me give the audience a quick introduction of you. So you wear three hats. You lead solution architecture at Enterprise Mobility. You're also head of security at Sensei AI. And then last but not least, you're the founder of Chicken Butt Jerky, a startup. So so let's dive right in. So chicken butt jerky is really your third job. So why do you believe in it so much that you want to do it?
Well, I always have an itch to create things. For me, the journey is more than the purpose itself. It's about exploration, it's about learning. I learn a lot doing my day job. I learn a lot doing my consulting gig. I learn a lot when I go to those conferences like the AI4 conference. Unfortunately, in the corporate space, it is very hard to take new ideas and spin them up into reality, into something new. There is a lot of politics, there is a lot of red tape. Things takes months and years to get accomplished or even to get started. So I wanted to create, I wanted to innovate. And now in 2025, we have so many tools, so much capability. I want to experiment and see with all that greatness that now everybody have access to, what can I do? How fast can I go? So that's kind of like what started all of that. Let's do a great experiment and see how far we can go with that.
Okay, that's great. So for chicken butt jerky in particular, right? What business benefit did you want to achieve at the beginning?
So like with any startup, of course, I wanted to kind of like hit like my 50K MRR and kind of like making sure that the business is stable and it's generating revenue and I have enough sales. But like to get to there, that's kind of like a very long destination, very far away. It's all about where do I start and how do I start? And like I mentioned earlier, these days we have capabilities and we have tools that empower a person to do much more on his own or with a smaller team of people or with a smaller set of resources. In my previous startup, I didn't have that. I know how much it cost me to go ahead and build a website, a landing page, weeks, months of work, scrum after scrum meetings, talk to the UX guy, go to the front end. Oh no, the API calls are not working. Orchestrate everything, lock on the concept, lock on the text, locked on the visual, back and forth, tens and tens of thousands of dollars in payroll and in investment. And today you can go to any of your favorite vibe coding and you can go ahead and do a landing page that can be as good as what you would pay back in the days, 50, 100K here in the US. So it's amazing. And you can do all of that with your phone, like while you're watching a movie or something and finish that movie with a website that is ready. So when you have all that, wouldn't you want to go play? Wouldn't you want to go and create something? You got the best Play-Doh in the world. Go experiment.
Okay, that's great. So let's talk about some of the experiments, right? Our initial conversation, there's a few things that you did that I found very fascinating. The first one was, when people talk about vibe coding, right? It is like a coding exercise. You're the first person that I know that take vibe coding to the physical world. Talk to us about that.
So I'm in the kitchen one day making jerky, making it all by hand, manual labor, very, very intensive. And I'm like, I'm an AI guy. I do automation for the website. I do automation for procurement. I do automation for marketing. Why I'm sitting there and stuffing jerkies by hand? Like in what world does that make sense? Well, let's build something. Okay. I don't know how to weld, but maybe I can get a welder and try to figure out how to do that. Well, that might be too difficult. Let's go buy a piece of wood and carve the things that I need out of that. But I can't use wood for food manufacturing. It's not going to fly anywhere. So I'm kind of like, I'm bouncing all those ideas in my head while cooking. And I'm like, man, I need to eat my own dog food more. I need to kind of like use the AI more. I use a lot Claude, OpenAI, Gemini, and I really like the voice conversation to have with that. It doesn't give you the most best models, but it's good enough. And especially I like to use it when I go out for a walk because my mind is clear, I'm kind of like in the zen, and I can kind of like ideate with the AI on different things. Well, cooking is kind of like also putting you in that zen to a degree. It's very repetitive work with hands, so your mind can kind of like do what it does. So I'm like, okay, let's talk to the AI. Let's start describing my pain, my problems, my desires. Let's start ideate. Let's explore. Is there any type of a magic wand that I can kind of like wave and get what I wanted? And apparently there is, because after a lot of ideation with the AI, we kind of like got to create a 2-page plan on what I really want. What are my desires, how the outcome should look like, how can I measure success, what is kind of like the threshold or level of investments I want to go in with capital, time, whatever. Okay, so now I have all of that. Let's talk to the AI and see, can we create a visual mock based on that plan? Does the AI or whatever LM I'm using for that, does it see kind of like the same vision I see if I give it that written language plan? And it was a yes. I'm like, oh, that's great. Now I have a blueprint. Okay, now what do I do? I need to go ahead and find me a CNC factory. Okay, let's go make some phone calls. All right. I have a design I want to go ahead and make. Yeah, we can do you on a 3D, everything, blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's going to be 6 weeks wait time, and it's going to be $25,000 for one off. I'm like, okay, can I get it sooner? Oh, yes, you can. It's a 50% markup, no problem. Well, okay, let's go back and eat in my own dog food. Let's ask the AI. Can the AI do that? Okay, yes, it can. There is a framework called OpenSCAD that you can create 3D designs by code. Talking to that AI, giving him that idea, that flow, the visual outcome after hundreds of prompts. It wasn't like a one prompt, but hundreds of prompts. I finally got a 3D STL file. I can now go ahead and print with food graded plastic for my 3D printer and prototype on that. And go 1, 2, 3, 4 type of prints. Actually, it was more like 2 dozens. But after 2 dozen prints, I had something that I want. Now I go to that shop that do the CNC work, and it only costed me $1,500 to manufacture the ingredient. I don't know how to do 3D designs. I don't even know how to draw a smiley face. I'm that bad at those type of things. It's easier for me to look at that as code. It's kind of like the Matrix, right? Everything is a code. And like you took the real world problem, described it to the agent understood you, you then kind of like manipulated the problem in the digital space because over there it costs much less and it's easier to shape things your way. We kind of like ran scenarios on how the special things that we printed will work with specific material volume, viscosity, blah, 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 kind of like did a few thesis analysis on that. Okay, it's good. Let's go and print. Oh, of course it works in the digital space and it doesn't work in the first print. But that's okay, it's expected. You go through iteration and then you have something. As a lean startup, I was able to launch chicken butt jerky in less than 15K and to get product to market. Only making that part with that company would have cost me more than setting up the entire company.
Okay.
So
All
this
right.
is the power of AI.
Yes. Let's talk about the another thing that you did. I thought very interesting. You talk about test first, right? So AI can stay focused. Talk to us about that.
Okay. So in my past, I used to offshore a lot of my development. Why? Because of budget reasons, not because of preference. I needed something cheap. I needed something that I can do with a lean budget. The problem when you go to a talent that is not an FTE in the company, and sometimes even if it's an FTE, you don't get the level of commitment you might wish that person will have in that business. But the person you're going to work with have one drive. It's to get as many billable hours as possible and to keep bill you those hours as long as possible. His interest and your interest are not aligned. It is very, very similar with the AI. I have found that the AI is really good at gaslighting you by telling you, hey, the work is done. Hey, just run the program. Everything is good. Yeah, I checked all the security. There is no bugs and everything is in clear text. Like it goes ahead and it tells you those things just to kind of like, oh, okay, I'm done to a degree, almost like a human would do. So how you will treat a human if you're managing a team of developers? How you will guide the junior developer to go ahead and do the right thing, go into the right process? So starting and using a test-first development methodology is one of the ways of doing that. You don't start with how you build things, you start with the desired outcome. Okay, I need a web page that have those 4 buttons on that web page, and when I click on that button, this needs to happen, and that widget needs to move to the left, and whatever you need to have happen. When you have a test scenario that's supposed to produce a definite results that are clearly defined, there is no shenanigans to say, oh, it's working while it's not. It's still happening. The AI will still do it sometimes, but it is less frequent as if there were no test. So the way I like to envision that, instead of filtering the water and then finding a container for that water, and then like seeing, okay, the water are clear in that container, yes, it's all good, I'm gonna get and source the container first, and then we're gonna filter the water directly into that container. And if it's all clear, then I can just put the cap and call it a day. I already have a product ready. And I don't need to go ahead and open everything and kind of like look at that again. So shorter cycles, less tokens burned because you're not going back and forth. And the most important thing, I can let it run autonomously and go to sleep while it's doing the work without it telling me, hey, Ben, it's done, go check. Well, we both know it's not working. And I will just take a screenshot, put it back, and it will go on another run.
Okay, that's really good. So, when it comes to web coding, a lot of people like Cursor. You have a different opinion. And also, I think, if you don't mind, touch on something we talk about as well, right? Something you called web, not just coding, web everything, right? So if you can talk about the tools and how you do that, that would be great.
Sure. So let's start with the cursor question. What are you? Are you a developer? Or are you a entrepreneur, CEO, manager, any type of role that is not a developer role? That's what I am. I'm an architect, I'm a consultant, I'm a founder, I'm a lot of things. I'm not a coder. I don't want to live in code. I don't desire to live in that space because I like to see the big pictures. I don't like to be heads down in one specific thing. There is nothing wrong on doing that. This is not what I do. So when I see something goes wrong or the code is not right or there is a bug or stuff, do I need to go at that point and code things myself? Or do I need to go ahead and tell the AI agent, hey, dude, this is unacceptable. It doesn't fit the standards. It's not secured. It's not following the instructions. I believe the lateral one is the way to go because if you think about from a CI/CD perspective or DevOps, you want to do everything as a code. You don't want to go as a one-off. as a person to do that. The same way, like I don't want people to just go ahead and deploy Kubernetes containers on the fly, and I wanted to use a Helm chart. I want to go ahead and have the recipe to create the app. The recipe on how to use the agent to create the app is as important as the app itself. If I go in and I do things by hand and I'm mavericking that like a cowboy, then my agent doesn't learn. In most cases, that is probably not going to be documented as well. And it's actually going to hurt us in the next cycle. It's going to be a quick shortcut now, but it's going to hurt us in the next run. So I'm putting my manager hat in that case. And I'm going to instruct the AI to fix it. And maybe the employee who gave that job is not the right employee, aka that AI. Maybe you should give it to a different AI. Maybe the instructions that you gave that AI were not the right ones. So instead of fixing the code itself, which is the problem right now that you're facing, something with your delivery needs to be fixed. Otherwise, you're going to have the same problem all over again. Now, if you're a developer and you use AI to be a power multiplier for your deliveries, then you already live in Cursor, you already live in those ideas, and you code all day long. So keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. Yeah, talk about vibe everything. That's
Right.
another very interesting way of saying what you do. Yes.
So back in the day, right, we got agile version 3, go ahead and do everything as a short sprint. And then there was the fail fast mentality all over. And now we have vibe coding. And those adaptations of different frameworks with vibe coding allows you to experiment really, really fast and basically vibe everything end to end. You set a budget, you set, let's say, X amount of dollars, Y amount of hours, and you go and you do what you can. But it's not only on the code. You can do that for real life problem. You can do that to go ahead and fix your car. Go ahead to Claude Code, for example, and it's asking to write you a web page or a guide that you can use while fixing your car, and asking to kind of like have a camera on the car while you're fixing it to tell you how to do the repair in a better way. And in 5 minutes, you create yourself an app that helps you maybe change your brakes or fix a flat tire if you don't know how to. It is so easy to create those code that can help you alongside with you, side by side, to fix real world problem. And when you look at the vibe everything, you don't create something to keep it for everything. If that item cost you 1 hour to create and it saves you 10 hours, do it, throw it away. The next time you're going to need it, the tools to build a better one by a quarter of the time it's probably going to be available. There is no point of keeping that code unless you're going to use it all day long. So using the vibe approach to vibe code, to vibe QA, to vibe even training. I do training with a vibe approach as well. You can do vibe problem solving for what you're doing throughout the day. Like all those tools can go ahead and do some other things for you. And not only the tools, also the approach and the mentality around that everything is disposable, everything is ephemeral. You don't need the best. You need something that is good enough to get you to the next step, and then build another thing that is good enough to get you to that next step. It's much cheaper, much more sustainable than trying to aim for perfection and never hitting that.
Okay, perfect. So another topic that you talk about, I thought was interesting, is you talk about iterating on the design / architecture first before you lay AI code. Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah. So 2 months ago, I got acquainted with a framework called OpenSpec. And for anyone listen to that and is using any type of a CLI code agent and they don't use OpenSpec, this is what you need to do after this listening to that. Go and download OpenSpec. OpenSpec is giving guidance to the coding agents that you're using on how they need to code, how they need to operate, how they need to document. When I'm hiring someone and I'm onboarding him to the team, I'm giving him training. This is how you do things. When you not commit code, you don't just go to the master branch and commit. No, 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 sir. You do a PR. We have a second set of eyes. You have to file up a change request. You have to go to the CAB meeting. You have to have a rollback plan. There is a way of doing things. You don't just go and go all crazy. One of the problems that a lot of people had with vibe coding, that the agent can sometimes do things that you don't want them to do, that they will go and nuke your database, they will go and do stuff, you ask them to fix one thing, and all of a sudden you find yourself with a production outage, which is why people don't like to use it for production. But using OpenSpec, you can really containerize what is being done, how it's being done. You can containerize it to a way that tell it, hey, plan first, submit the change like you are a human. Me, I will review your request, and then I will tell you what is approved and what is not. And you can only execute the approved item under that change. Any execution outside of that, and you will be fired. And that's kind of like the same thing with the AI at the end of the day. So creating that framework also gives you a long-term memory for whatever you are building. So now you can plan, okay, this is what the app should do. This is the intention. That's how we expect it to behave. And then you go one layer down. Okay, let's talk about infrastructure. This is a design. We're going to use this cloud provider. We're going to use this stack. We're going to host that way. This type of database, this type of connectivity, WAF, whatever you need to have. And then you go to your code. Okay, what backend do you want? Fast API. Okay, like you define all those things, and it creates a file structure for all those components. And kind of like going to the testing first type of a thing, when you plug the testing first with OpenSpec as well, you now created the architecture. And the architecture is kind of like the box that holds all my bottled waters that I'm going to sell to the store. And then we're going to do the QA, which is kind of like going to be the bottle. And then we're going to create the content, which is filterizing the water to put into those bottles. Don't start with coding first. Plan. You're going to go to someone new in your team that just got started today, doesn't know anything about the company, about the business. Build me a web app that can process inventory. He's going to be like, who are you, sir? What do you want me to do? Where do you want it to host? What stack? Java, React? Like the same thing. Don't treat AI like an all-knowing being, because it doesn't. And you have your own requirements, your own desires. Make sure they're part of the plan. And OpenSpec is one of the frameworks that allows you to do that. OpenSpec works with something that's called OpenCode, which is kind of like Claude Code or Gemini CLI or Codex CLI. It just allows you to use all those tools. Unfortunately, OpenCode connects only to APIs, so you're going to pay for tokens. But OpenSpec also works with the Codex CLI. It also works with Gemini CLI, and it also works with Claude Code. So pick your platform, your ecosystem that you like, and then use OpenSpec. And remember that I said earlier about maybe it's not the right employee for that right task. Don't think that you can create an application with vibe coding using one model from one brand. You can't. The same thing like your employees cannot be from the same mother. You need different DNAs, you need different opinions, you need different approaches.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I mean, you alluded to this a couple times, right? Tell us, the objectives, the benefits you have achieved.
So the objective first and most is to learn and to experiment. I love to play. I always have an itch. I see new technology. It's like, ooh, new things, new shiny toy. Let's go ahead and see what can it do. How How much can I use it? Can I maybe bring something valuable for humanity by using those ingredients in a new, unique way? Chefs, famous chefs, everybody uses tomatoes, cucumbers, onions. It's all the same ingredients. It's all about how you mix them together, how you package them, and how you sell them. So I want to see what I can do, because now, oh my God, there is 100 new ingredients all of a sudden. Let's cook. And one of the outcomes that came out from that experimentation, I think, was something that is very interesting. I had a thesis. I want to see how fast can I go to market with the chicken butt jerky. And kind of like I had a funny number in my head. I'm like, oh, I really want to target 100 days. And I was able to do that. In shy of 80 days, I went out to the market, which was kind of like, wow. If I only had that in my previous startup, oh, I would have done so much better.
And also, not only just shy of 80 days, you also only spent 15K, right?
Actually, it's up to 21 now, but yes, we started there. Every business costs money. Like starting something from the ground up costs money. No risk, no reward. That's how it is. But 15K for my case was because I needed a commercial kitchen. There is rent. There is a lot of equipment. If I just do a micro SaaS, then what? All I have is a Vercel subscription, maybe the cloud subscription. It's not that bad. So for some people, 50K is nothing. For some people, it's like, oh my God, that's a lot. It really depends what you want to do. I can say that 15K is like that compared to how much I invested in my previous startup that I had to close, and it was all a sunk investment. So for me, testing the market in 15K, it's a huge accomplishment.
Yes, yes. So last question. There's a saying, AI won't take your job. People are using AI well. You have a slightly different take on that. Yeah. What do you think about that?
That nobody's going to take your job. Your job is just going to go away. I'll give an example. I had to go ahead and do some NDAs for chicken butt jerky. Traditionally, in previous business, I would go to my attorney. He will go to his paralegal. They will charge me about $450 an hour for that nice service. And I'm going to get what I'm going to get. I'm going to trust him. It's okay. I'm probably not going to even read it. I'm going to let the other party to sign. And Bob is your uncle. We are good there. Now, today, 2025, chicken butt jerky, I'm not going to pay $450 an hour for that. Like, what? Okay. Let's start. Let's use Gemini, Claude, and OpenAI as a cohorts to go ahead and make me an NDA. They have the memory about a lot of the conversations I already had. They know a lot about the business already. Let's use that and drive the NDA. A lot of the planning around what I need, why I need the NDA for, has already been discussed with those AIs. So let's go ahead and create an NDA. So a couple of hours later, I have an NDA created. And now I'm not going to take my attorney job. I'm not trying to be an attorney. No way. If I could avoid using an attorney like I just did, that's what I want to do. And I'm doing that not because I don't like my attorney, it's because I'm trying to save cost. And if you think about that, the same thing happened with travel and travel agencies. We used to go to travel agent to book everything. And you didn't hear people say, oh, it's not the internet going to take your job. It's people using the internet going to take your job. It's like, no, dude, your job is going to go away. Nobody's going to come to your office because you charge 20% more where they can just book it online from the sofa. And that's going to be the case. I don't want to wait 6 weeks for my 3D printing material for the business. I don't want to wait 2 days even for the attorney to get back to me. I don't want to pay those exorbitant fees for all those services. I can't afford it as a small business. I need to find a way to make it. And with AI, that's the way to make it. So those services now would not get the revenue that they would have got for me. Now, I'm a trailblazer, maybe not a lot of people is doing that, but that's 2025. Let's roll the clock 5 years from now. What's going to happen to all the service industry?
That's right. Okay. Well, it really has been a huge pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.